Subscribe to my YouTube channel and click the bell icon for the latest film interviews, features, and recommendations on the movies that matter.
Kunal, Richa, it's good to see you. You shot a movie called Lahore Confidential, and you all shot this entirely during the pandemic. It is, of course, from what I gather from watching the teaser, a love story that's set in the world of espionage. I thought I'd start by asking both of you, what made you want to tell this story?
Well, apart from the fact that we were locked up at home and we got a chance to get out, I think there were two reasons for me to wanting to do this film. One was I liked the subject, and two was, of course, Richa. I had not worked with her, and I was really keen to work with her. She's an amazing actor, and we've never had the opportunity. We've never crossed paths professionally. And when I was told she's on the project, I was like, hell yeah, I'm doing this.
Nice.
Yeah.
Always a good reason to make a movie, yeah. Richa, for you?
I just wanted to work after 6 to 8 months of all of Jan. I hadn't done anything. Since Jan, I hadn't done anything which was full format and sort of fiction or whatever. I didn't have a chance. Of course, everybody made those lockdown documentaries and little comedy snippets and all. But to be able to do a full film was kind of rare. Plus, I liked the story. It was interesting because it wasn't the usual, oh, we hate each other and we are going to kill each other as neighbors. And it was just a espionage story which sounded almost like a love story. And it was interesting. And I wanted to collaborate with everybody on the project. Yeah. But primarily, to be honest, I just wanted to be able to work as an actor after all this time.
Yeah.
Thanks for making me a reason. Huh? Thanks, Richa. I will remember that.
I didn't know. You were dangled like a carrot much later.
But what was it like for both of you? What was it like? I mean, yes, one had been missing being on a set and actually doing what you do, and yet there is this threat that is impossible to ignore. And Kunal, I know you've documented it. I know you've written about it. I know you've put out pictures, which is very helpful actually because it gives a sense of how you all did that. But what do you remember? I mean, did you have nerves? The first week, the first day, was there a genuine anxiety?
Can I answer this for him? Kunal, with your permission, can I take this?
Go ahead.
So on the first day, we realized he's got his whole his bed sheets have been ordered to the hotel, no contactless delivery. Then he's rented a car which he's driving himself to the location. Then he has a spray which he uses every time before he goes anywhere. His arrival is announced like this. Move away. And then he sprayed the whole area. Then he carries his own disposable cutlery, which is all organic and biodegradable, mind you.
Yes.
I noticed. And he just followed all protocols to the T, and it just set a really good example for the rest of the team also, that this is how you ought to be when after some time you just want to forget you're in the middle of a pandemic. But thanks to Kunal, we all remembered and we all acted very responsibly. We haven't had a single case or anything from our cast or crew. Nobody. We've been back for about 10 days now at least. Yeah, over that.
Even on set,
Right.
we didn't have a single incident, not a single person on our set got COVID, which is a really difficult task because I know a lot of productions have started and a lot of people have had to shut down because there are a lot of COVID cases. But I think I was extra paranoid. And just for the reason because I've had a tragedy in my family. I lost an aunt in the US and my Masi died because of COVID. So it hit home really closely. And I have suffered on account of COVID. So I know how dangerous it can be. A lot of people just laugh it off and say, oh, I wish I just get it and get it over with. It's not that simple. I mean, you're really lucky if you get it and you just get it over with. And what the after effects are, we'll never know. So yes, I was very cautious, and like Richa said, when I would walk on set, I would just be like, okay, step aside, don't come near me. And I had my own monitors and I would sit there, and I missed a lot of things. Like I missed holding the camera. That's something I've never not done. I've always held the camera and set the frame exactly the way I wanted to. But then I realized, okay, all I have to do is say, okay, little to the left, little to the left, little to the right, hide down, hide down, hide down. Okay, don't touch the camera, don't touch the camera, no, leave it. Because that's the frame that I wanted. So yes, so you have to adjust, you have to work accordingly. But I feel it's very difficult for the actors. See, I could do that.
Right.
But they have to touch the properties. They have to touch the things in the set. They have to
We have to touch each other.
they have to touch each other. They have to touch each other. They have to get into a pool. They have to get into a car. So it's easier for me, but for them it's very difficult. And I think it's really commendable that they did what they did, and nothing happened. I mean, that is due credit to the production, to her, to everybody.
Yeah.
But I think it's tough, and you know that however careful you might be, it's always there at the back of your head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, whether you touch a doorknob, you touch anything, it's always there. I mean, I try to set the protocols and tell everybody that, listen, don't touch anything till you don't need to.
Right.
If it's a prop that is being used, just wipe it and give it to the actors. Don't just like earlier we're used to say, yeah, but I just pass it, just do this. No, all that stops. And I made sure that stops. Do not pass anything to anybody. Because you don't know what you could be passing with that. But yeah, so, and after all that, then we have to concentrate on the shot. What's the character? What's the arc? What's the graph? What's the graph of the scene? What's the graph of the previous scene coming into this scene? You have to think of all these things. And you have to continue with them, because at the end of the day, that's what you have to do.
Right.
You can't forget that. I mean, that's what we're there for.
Let's talk about the film. You know, the love story of a spy. That premise is one that Hindi cinema has exploited frequently. Most recent examples being, say, Ek Tha Tiger or Razi to some degree. Most of these films, you know, pose that love versus duty dilemma. What do you hope and what do you think your film does that is new and different to that template?
Well, I think the one thing that I think is very strong in this film, which I want to bring out, is that we don't generally talk about the women in this part of life and how they are the unsung heroes. We don't pay attention. I mean, we have all these stories of male spies, and you have right from James Bond onwards, they've all been, made larger than life heroes.
Yeah.
But these unsung heroes, these unknown people who just go unnoticed under the radar, no one talks about them, no one writes about them, no one mentions them, especially the women. It's very difficult for a woman to be in this line and to be in this field. So it's almost like a tribute to them that, okay, look, this is what they have to go through. This is how their lives are. So I think that's what's more important. And I like that angle and that aspect of it. And who better than Richa to play a role like that?
Did you see it that way as well?
I mean, I also thought that what was interesting in this film is that typically the role of the spy is very glamorized, you know. But if you actually were to meet somebody who works in CBI or in RAW or in CID or in NCB, they're very regular people. They dress like regular people. They have normal interests. They have normal families who don't really know exactly what's going on with them all the time. But they're regular people. So I love playing this woman who had an interest in poetry. She wanted to sort of meet with poets and write a book and explore that world. And at the same time, she's human. When she finds an attractive man, she has a dilemma, and it's not even just duty versus love. It's more like, I don't know, I'm giving too much away. I think.
No, it's more like principles also, and beliefs, your beliefs, and
your personal beliefs that, do I see? No one will readily stay away from the state line, especially if you're a government servant. But to some extent, everybody has an opinion on what's being done in the country, even people who work in the forces. So that I thought was an interesting dilemma in this case. Like when she's going on a mission, but she's like, is it really necessary to treat everybody as an enemy? And are we enemies, or are we just like like a bickering couple in a bad marriage? You know, so that kind of thing was very interesting.
yeah, very well.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah, very well said.
Yeah.
It's quite clear from the teaser, Richa, that what you're playing is an Indian spy who's embedded in Islamabad. And as you say in that lovely poem which starts the teaser, your lover, your friend is also your enemy, and that all is fair in
Yeah.
love and war. How does one get into the head of a person who is facing that kind of dilemma? And how did you get into her head?
It's almost like it's hard, no? It's like living in a new country, and one that you fought many wars with, one that you have a history of animosity with, and of course history of culture and shared common history and common heritage also. But um, it's almost like that person will be very wary of like using their phone. They'll be always concealing their body language and trying to hide things from people closest to them, even their own parents or their closest friends. And a person like that, I think, behaves like somebody who's cheating on their spouse. You're either extra nice to, to try to overcompensate, or you're sort of always on the guard to figure out, okay, when will I be found out? And then you're dreading every knock, every ring of the phone. And yet, as you're dreading every knock and every ring of the phone, sometimes, you'll put your phone on recorder. Sometimes you'll wear a wire. Sometimes you'll just pretend to cry when you don't really mean to. And sometimes you'll give in to charms and to lust and to all that. So it was an interesting character to play. And also she's not a very confident woman. So for me too, I love playing these low status characters because I hardly get them. I always get this sort of feisty,
Fiery.
very confident, like sabke liye ladne wali
Correct.
kind of. So this woman was, she stammers sometimes when she gets nervous. I thought those things were interesting because she's always like chor ki dadi mit tinka. She wants to be low profile. She wants to be sort of invisible, and she wants to blend in. So she's dressing up like that and moving around like that. But it's quite interesting.
This has been a year of such change and churning as far as the film business is concerned. I mean, everything that we considered a sure thing has proven not to be in that sense. I mean, just the way that you make movies, the way that we watch films, everything has changed. Richa, you had this incredible opportunity to just be reminded of why we love the movies recently. You've just come back from the El Guna Film Festival, and we saw you. I was filled with envy looking at those pictures and videos of you watching films in a cinema in the way that they're meant to. And of course, we've
Yeah.
loved watching. We've loved the opportunity, and one is grateful that through this period one has been able to watch films and shows in the streaming format. But to both of you, how soon and because you all have worked during this time and because you all have made a movie during the pandemic, I mean, how soon do you sort of suspect that there will be a sort of return to some semblance of normalcy, both in the ways that one can go back to making movies, and in the way that we can watch movies in cinemas? I mean, what is your wish for your hope for us as a cinema loving nation?
I really hope that the film industry realizes and takes sort of corrective measures. And I've always been talking about ticket prices and footfalls and halls and things like that, which are actually beyond my expertise, but I see them having a direct impact on the sale of tickets. I was recently reading when George Lucas and Steven Spielberg said that VOD will explode and cinemas will be a thing of the past, and that really broke my heart as somebody who's Gangs of Wasseypur was shot on the film. So I feel really bad about having seen that and then coming into this, um, and it wouldn't be fair if cinemas just become a novelty experience, and it wouldn't be fair if like we are just reduced to watching stuff on this small screen while we're commuting. uh, God only knows what will happen, but I'm happy that cinemas are reopening little by little. I'm happy that I don't know how many people will go into the cinema to watch. I know Kunal definitely won't. But maybe, like in the film festival, what they did was they had a few open air theaters. So they did those screenings in the night and they kept lots of space between seats. So it wasn't a theater, it was like almost like a stadium that they set up. And if it was in a closed hall, there was only like you had to leave either one or two seats between you to watch like a festival film or something. So I hope that we can do something like that till there is a vaccine, till there's a cure, or till there's a herd immunity for everybody. Till that I just hope that it gets back. Like, because for us, normalcy is also cinemas, watching movies in cinemas. And let's
Yeah.
face it, India is not a country where people have this, okay, oh, now it's the weekend, let's go to the woods, or let's go
True.
camping, and let's go on a water trail, or let's go to an amusement park. Everybody in this country looks to the films for entertainment. A lot of supplementary industries depend on the film industry for entertainment, whether it's the music, or even your TV dance reality shows, or even like your whatever, fashion, fitness, whatever. These are all the supplementary subsidiary industries of this very big industry. So it would definitely help everything if we can get back to normal. I'm hoping that there is new, fresh content that urges people to come out and step out of their houses and go into a movie hall with full precautions, of course. New, fresh content that drives them into the theaters for a cinema experience. I hope that that happens soon, because that would be most ideal. And I've just come back from Egypt, and let me tell you, the number of strangers on the road will stop and say, Hind, Hind, India, Amitabh Bachchan, Shah Rukh Khan, Salman Khan, Amir Khan, very good, Deepika Padukone, very good. And they know everything, and it's like there's such a huge, lovely, soft power to have, and it's one of love. Like the number of free falafel rolls we've gotten just because we're from India has not been funny.
So I'd like to say two things here. One is going to be very controversial. One is the reality. The thing is okay. Let's say there will be a vaccine and the world will go back to normal. The one thing that the distribution sector of the film industry has not been taking care of and has not been understanding, and I put primarily, and here's where the controversial part comes in, and it might just spin off an entire debate on this. The multiplexes are hugely to blame for this, because they have been putting band-aid on a problem that is not being addressed. And the problem is, we are seeing 300 crore films and feeling happy that, oh, we're doing 300 crores. But at what ticket price are you doing 300 crores? Are you seeing that? How much has your footfall dropped? Are you seeing that? That is disastrous. Okay. If you count the footfalls of a 300 crore film of today and a 50 crore film of 5 years back, the 5-year back of 50 crore films will be much more in terms of footfall than today's 300 crore films. So what are you actually doing? You're just raising ticket prices and feeling good, okay, I've done 300 crores. You've got no footfalls. And what does that mean? That fewer people are watching your films in the theaters. Now, with the pandemic, more people have got used to watching films on their phone. Now, the problem with watching a film on the phone is this. When you see a hero here, as opposed to when you see a hero there, who's going to be a bigger hero? The man you see there or the man you see here? The man you see here can never be as big a hero as the man you see there. Okay. Why Amitabh Bachchan? You always saw him there on the big screen. That's why he's Amitabh Bachchan, because he was there. You were seeing him from there, sitting in the stalls, watching him like this. गर्दन अकड़ जाती थी, पर वैसे ही देखना है भाई. फर्स्ट गेटी गैलेक्सी के स्टॉल्स में बैठ के पिक्चर देखनी है. सलमान खान गेटी गैलेक्सी में देखो तो मजा आता है, पता चलता है सलमान खान क्या है. When you watch Salman Khan in Getty Galaxy, you can't enjoy Salman Khan here like this. So the multiplexes have to, and the other thing, not getting very technical, but very simple. If you look at the balance sheet of the multiplexes and you see their revenues from ticket prices is very low. They must be earning 20 to 25% from ticket sales. Rest is all from canteen. Yeah. Okay, they're earning the rest of it from the canteens. So they don't actually care about ticket prices, because they are more interested in what how much they're overpricing their popcorn and their cold drinks and everything. Because the revenue is coming from there. The revenues are coming from car parks. The revenues are coming from ice cream. But all that is only going to happen if that 25% is there of ticket sales. And even from that, the producers don't get much. They get the bulk of the ticket sales. Okay. Now that is a problem that has actually been happening, Rajiv, you will know, from Fana times with the multiplexes. There was a huge issue from that time. Okay. From 2006 till now, this has been going on. and it's going to affect now. Until we don't change ticket prices, footfalls will not increase. Look at China; they have 8,000 theaters. 10, China has something like about 15 to 20,000 theaters.
Right.
We have 8,000 in the entire country, not for Hindi cinema alone.
Yeah.
That's Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, Malayalam, Bengali, Marathi. You combine all that and we have some barely 8,000 cinemas. China has 20,000 in one language. So we have a huge problem which nobody is addressing, which is footfalls. Footfalls is related to ticket prices. Forget your 300 crores. Show me footfalls. That's the real business. Now that is the problem. So that I think needs to be addressed, which is not being addressed. But and that experience should never go. See, the industry is growing. Okay, the industry is growing in a big way because of the OTT. So now you have 3-4 industries running simultaneously. You have your TV industry, you have your OTT industry, you have your film industry. But to make the film industry survive and to make sure it survives, do not just keep raising ticket prices. It is ridiculous what we're doing. I mean, there are some films last year which were charging like $500 on a Monday, 750 rupees on a weekend. The first weekend was 750, 800 rupees.
Correct.
Come on.
Yeah, it's almost a short way to lose people. Yeah, to lose it.
Yeah.
Short way to lose people, an easy way to reach 300 because that's all you're worried about. Pehle it was 100, now it's 200, then it became 300. So, and when Bahubali did raise ticket prices, Bahubali was on reasonable ticket prices. 100 rupees, did 100 rupees, 100 rupees, 75 rupees. It did 450 crores.
The South always gets it right. They've always had a cap. It's in their culture to, that I just feel like I want that experience for the current generation, for the next generation that I had when as a kid I went with my school friends and we watched Lagan in a hall.
Yeah.
And when the match was being played, the movie was so long, but everybody watching it together, cheering for those runs and like laughing and enjoying themselves. That kind of community viewing, that does something for us.
I think the bottom line is really the love for films, and if that, hopefully this is going to be, a period to correct that and to understand and to recognize what one has been doing wrong and how to fix those problems. And since we're all sort of have these withdrawal pangs of, having not been, having not had that experience, that sort of community experience, which only Richa has enjoyed and just come back from. Hopefully, we'll see some changes in the year going forward. But thank you, Kunal. Thank you, Richa. All the best for your film. I know that Lahore Confidential will begin streaming on ZEE5 in December. Looking forward to watching that film. Congratulations and well done for braving it out at a time when few might have confronted their anxieties and gone out and done it. Can't wait to watch the film. But thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for sharing the experience, and looking forward to watching the film. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.